everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about navigating customs and cross-border challenges. Before we go ahead, remember to subscribe to the channel, leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed the video, because this is going to help us grow, but also make sure that you will receive a notification every time I post a new video. Moving forward to the topic, today we're going to talk about how to navigate customs and cross-border challenges. So it's a topic that you really need to understand well and be careful, because that's what is going to enhance growth for your e-commerce business internationally, so globally. So international shipping opens a world of opportunities, but it's also true that comes along with quite few challenges. Let's explore some of those aspects. First of all, understanding customs regulations. Those customs regulations change from country to country, and it's not only about the import, it's also about the exports. So sometimes countries have specific procedures when it comes to exporting from your place to another country. But also, whenever you import in that other country, you need to follow other regulations too. So you may need to comply with your local regulation or the regulation of the exporting country, which means whether you have your warehouse or if you ship from your place and so on. So you're making an export, right? So you need to comply with your regulations, let's say, plus the import. So a destination, there's going to be another custom clearance that you need to do in order to receive and import such goods in that country. Then we have tariffs and duties. Be careful here as well. There may be some duties on exports, not only imports. So whenever you actually export from your country, you may be taxed. And whenever you import in that destination country, you also have duties and taxes. So you should consider end-to-end if your product has any export duty and import duty as well. To understand the tariffs and the duties that apply on your HS code, so also make sure that your HS code is correct, because the custom clearance may check and sample check your products, your orders, and see if it actually matches your HS code. If it's clear or not, they may assign a new one, which means you may pay more or less in duties compared to what you originally estimated. So always do some checks and some tests whenever you ship internationally, just to validate that whatever you're doing, it's kind of correct. Then consider restricted and prohibited items. Make sure you check what's prohibited and what's restricted in each country you want to ship to, okay? Because there are quotas, there are restrictions, there are products that you can't import at all, there are products that you can also import in a certain amount, especially when it comes to food, or products that simply are not accepted. Then we have documentation and paperwork. You should check before shipping what type of documents you need. When we talk about meat, for example, poultry, eggs, and stuff like that, you need to have a certificate of origin and other documentation. It's just not simply a commercial invoice and a shipping label. So if your product requires FDA approval, you should have the FDA approval as well. So you should check the requirements related to your products, but also the paperwork that is needed, not only for pure shipping, like a commercial invoice and a label, but related to the product itself. Then we have international shipping options, which means choosing the right courier. We'll have video about this. So research and partner with a valuable courier, someone that actually has some history that can prove the success rate and then the right partner for you. But also consider what you want to do, if you want to offer express versus economy, or the type of products that you have. It really depends, but you should consider both. The fact that you have a way faster option when it comes to express, and you may pay sometimes just a little bit more compared to any more economical options that are for you in the market at that very period of time. Understand about tracking and insurance. So you need to make sure that you have tracking updates and that they are real time, that at least they're quite often, if it takes 14 days, there should be quite few tracking updates so that they're visible, it's transparent, the customer can check, and they have a way to check, maybe on the courier website, the tracking updates. So using a track parcel is very important. You must have tracking, and they must be able to have a way to track the parcels, like by going on your website or by going on the website of the courier and so on. But also consider insurance, because whenever you ship something valuable and you're choosing an economical option, it's like very dangerous. Because those economical options have no insurance most of the time. So if they do, they're going to refund you very, very, very little amount. It's not even comparable about the loss that you're going to have. So always make sure that you understand the differences between having the insurance or not having the insurance, and what's going to be given back to you, like what you can claim back if it happens that your parcel gets lost. Another thing is custom documentation and compliance. So you should consider that every country has also its own regulation when it comes to customs. You may need to provide your tax ID or not, or like you need to provide the tax ID of the receiver up front and not at customs. You need to register on a platform, or the receiver, if it's a business, needs to have a custom code, like register with customs, or provide the tax code at a certain point, if you need a power of attorney for DHL or for any express courier. So there are a lot of things that you should know before shipping, and you can generally inquire the courier about that. They're going to provide you quite good enough information to start, and then eventually you can later on improve the process and start like filling the gaps. But the most important thing is how you declare the goods. So like the price, the Incoterms, the description of the products, the HS codes, the country of origin, if I haven't said that yet, and from where it's gonna be, from where it's shipped, who is importing it, if the importer is different from the receiver, and the signature of who's authorizing that those information are actually correct. So a bunch of things that you should actually keep in mind when it comes to custom clearance, especially about the accuracy of the HS code. And that includes also labeling requirements, because every country, especially when you import and distribute locally, like you go retail or something like that, you need to comply with different labeling regulations compared to shipping to single individuals for personal use cross-border. So make sure you understand the labeling requirements and what certifications your product needs. Now let's look at the cross-border e-commerce challenges. What are those challenges at the end of the day? Language and communication is first, because they can actually mess up the communication with customs. You can also consider like the custom inspections when they hold your parcels and they want more information about them because there's some mistakes in the commercial invoices or in the declaration. Returns and refund, it's not always possible to return so easily a product. Sometimes you need more paperwork, sometimes you need more information, sometimes you simply can't do it. Like, I think I give this, let's say, example as well another time in another video, but basically once I ordered online and I wanted to return my products because they didn't fit me. It was apparel, and what happened was that I contacted the customer, I read the return policy and it was okay, then I just need to return it. Then I was considering where to return it, if it's to China or US, and the US was kind of expensive. I would just lost whatever I purchased the product for. It would be like the shipping fee or half of it, so it wasn't very convenient to do, especially because of the risk of losing the parcel and maybe I wouldn't get anything from it. But also, and then I decided to go for China because it's closer to Hong Kong. But the thing is, I was an individual returning it to a business, and it wasn't so simple. It was almost impossible to return. It's a long story, but in a few words, in a nutshell, it was impossible to return. So I lost my money because sending it to the US warehouse would cost me half of what I'm gonna get back. So at that point, it's like I can't return it to China. Then I'm not sure if US is gonna get it, so I'm just simply not going to return it, and I just never bought again on that website, which is very unfortunate because this is what's gonna happen to many of the customers of this brand, except for the ones that are living in the US basically. So this also means that you should make sure that your customers understand how to return a product and what they need to go through, okay? Because many they just don't write it. If you just a local sale, you're selling from the US to the US, then you don't need that. But if it requires a cross-border shipment back to where you are, you should actually inform and at least have a disclaimer to your customers that it's up to them to understand how to return the products legally, let's say at customs and so on. So at least you write it down and kind of flag something that they can't really blame you, saying, oh, I didn't know, I didn't think about it, right? You should have told me. Like, I told you, but you didn't look into it, so that's your problem, right? So that's where you have the right to say that. So at least add a disclaimer or provide information for them, which is going to be quite tricky. And that's pretty much all for today. Thanks for watching. I hope it was helpful. It was a helpful recap of what are the challenges and what you need to be careful of about what you need to be careful about when it comes to international shipping. And just remember to leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed this video, because this is gonna help us grow, and also subscribe to the channel so you're always informed about my next release or videos that I will publish. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.